Good evening, known world. I am Excellency Rahmut al-Tayyiba, coming to you from the Kingdom of Artemisia in the Barony of Bronzehelm. And with me today, I have on the road to retention Her Grace, Duchess Stjarna.
Hello.
Hello, Your Grace. Would you please introduce yourself to my audience and tell us why you're as amazing as you are?
Okay. Well, my name is Duchess Dagrun Stjarna Ulrich's daughter. I have been a longtime member of the SCA. I have been a baroness of my barony for 6 years, and then which followed into 2 different reigns for my kingdom. And now I am the Kingdom Minister of Arts and Sciences. So I've continued to take on more fun and exciting roles within my groups.
Excellent. I love it. Of course, because you are an officer, we must say that the views and opinions expressed today are those of you as a participant and does not reflect on any official policy or position of the SCA Incorporated.
Definitely.
Perfect. Got to give that little disclaimer here in case anybody gets a little what?
Yeah, very important.
So let's start out a little bit with, so you've been a baroness, you've been queen, well, and obviously princess as well. What other positions have you held besides kingdom, arts and science?
Well, at the local level, I have done lists. I have done Minister of Arts and Sciences. I've been the herald. Currently, for the baron and baroness of my local branch, they're asking me to be their voice herald for court. What else have I done? I've been the seneschal of my barony, and I've also done kingdom lists. My big position within the SCA has been dance mistress. It tends to be something that follows me wherever I'm at. Music breaks out and dancing ensues.
That's like a superpower.
That is what I am known for. I have partners in crime with a Fromage Fete is a band that plays within our kingdom, and they started this when I was a princess the first time. They walked by my encampment and played music and said, "Would you like to come out and dance?" And at that point I was like, how do we do this? And eventually we can pretty much feed off each other and have impromptu dance balls all over the place. So we do it all the time.
That's magical. I love that. I'm kind of jealous. How do I get one of those started in Artemisia?
We just need some music. That's all.
So you've held enough positions where there's really not an aspect of recruitment and retention that you haven't kind of dealt with at all. Like you've always been part of that driving force behind the SCA.
Yeah, my husband and I had moved out of kingdom while he went to school. And when we came back, within a year and a half, 2 years, we had been asked by the crown to step into the role of baron and baroness for our area. So it launched me on a long career of caring about all of those officer positions. Because, of course, a barony doesn't exist without officers, and you need help.
Definitely. I think it would be kind of a nightmare if you were literally running the whole show without any assistance.
Oh, yes.
So let's talk about aspects of retention that you're super passionate about. For example, say how you deal with people that are frustrated.
Well, actually, I want to start before that.
Okay.
How you approach somebody. I'm a very strong believer that everybody is a chatelaine. And I think that everybody has within them something positive they can share about the SCA that would excite somebody that's coming to the SCA. And that is a key moment in anybody's life when they come to the SCA for the first time, making sure you leave a lasting impression, a good lasting impression, because it's really easy to leave a bad one. And so I tend to be that person. I'm not afraid of saying hello to somebody. And I don't always wear the coronet on my head. I'm just Stjarna, and I walk up to people, say hi. I have walked up to people that look sort of lost, and I pull them in. And that is something that I encourage absolutely everybody to do. And most of the people that I know in the SCA are so excited about what they're doing that all you have to do is say, you just need to talk about that to the people that come here. And that's one of my first questions I ask somebody. What do you do in your normal world? Oh, if I can pick up on any crumb of information about something that I can pertain to something that we do in the SCA, I got them hooked. I've got them excited. I also have an idea of who to introduce them to. And that is the key to getting somebody into the SCA. Nobody will come back to the SCA unless they have people.
Definitely.
It is very hard to come to a 500-person event and feel lonely and think that, yeah, I'm going to do that again. So it's really, really important to give them people that they have something in common with, somebody that knows that they need a little bit more introduction to stuff. And all of a sudden you've got more people coming. So
Definitely.
Okay, back to what you did ask though, which was it? People that
when you can see members that have a little bit of frustration, how you like to handle or address that?
I'm a nurturing type of person. If I know them, I don't always think that you have to walk up to somebody and confront them. Sometimes people just need time. Sometimes they need to miss us a little bit and then they'll come back. But I do communicate with them, maybe not on a public forum, but I will take the time to go and do something more private and just encourage them. Maybe it's really important to know what is difficult in their real life. Is it job? Is it money? Is it this? And you can always bridge that gap a little and make sure people understand, no, they haven't quit. It's just really hard for them right now. There are so many groups in Ontario. I only know Ontario, sorry. There are so many groups in Ontario that have put together van pools to get people to fighters practices. Or even there's a huge group from our most southern region. It's one of our newest baronies. They bring people in droves up to the central part of our kingdom. And we will have like Queen's Rapier Championship it's this huge group from Glendoofin comes up because they have that assistance built into their group.
And it's a good policy. Like, hey, I'm going to this event. I have an extra spot. Would you like to go? Hop in. All you have to do is hop in if you wanted to go. Let's go.
Sometimes just giving somebody transportation or the spare bed in your double queen hotel room, or many of us have an extra tent or an extra, and you can house somebody for a weekend, and it's not that much of an inconvenience. It is hard when somebody has that burnout. There's a lot of people that take on they'll take on 5 or 6 officers positions in different groups and all of this. And then I have some friends that literally for like a year and a half will just disappear. And then they'll come back and they'll do it again. As much as I want to say, hey, why don't you just take it easy? It's just what they want to do. We have to be kind and considerate and just understand that that's what some people need.
Definitely.
The SCA has a place for everybody, but there's also a lot of other things we do. And a lot of times real life comes first.
Yeah,
the family comes first and everything else. So,
and that's kind of the unspoken thing about the SCA besides, don't be a dick, is real life first.
Important.
You can't go do the things if you don't take care of your real life first.
Yeah, it's as I said, really easy. You have an extra tent, throw somebody in it. Adding enough food to feed a couple more people isn't hard. We bring a lot of food that I end up taking home. Most of my friends cook and then ask anybody if they want more food because we don't want to take it home. So, I mean, Those are some of those things that those barriers that people have to get. Money is a huge one. Also, they might have other passions, and it's important to say, if you have two passions, it's okay. You don't have to be the most passionate person in the SCA, but you can come and still play with us and have fun. And
Definitely.
different times in your life, that's going to be the thing that does it for you. And sometimes something else does it for you. So
Definitely.
And if they feel that the SCA is home, they will come back. So you just have to be kind and considerate.
Just got to make that connection.
Yes.
It looks like we have a hello from Her Highness from Atlantia, Yasmin Farah. Greetings.
Hello.
And she concurs, being Shadowlane and welcoming newcomers. Definitely. So let's talk about when we felt burnt out.
Okay, well,
get that out of the way, because happens to everybody.
Well, first of all, I have discovered that for me, when I'm at an event, I'm on. I am Duchess Stjarna. I do all the things. And when I come home, I'm off. I have to have a little bit of a rest time, at least a day where I don't do much SCA stuff, because it's exhausting going to an SCA event for an entire weekend, especially when you're doing kingdom lists and you're also heralding for this person, and then and when you're somebody who people know, they ask you to do things, and it's exhausting. So it's really important for me that sometimes I don't answer the messages or the phone. But I haven't had a time that I've been really burnt out until the pandemic hit. It was the thing I looked forward to. The pandemic made it really hard. I literally competed in Kingdom Arts and Sciences, and the next week the world shut down. And he had a few days of being lost, because I'm used to going to an event at least twice a month. And then we had to find other things to do, which is different things than the SCA. You saved a lot of money and no travel and and going to events. But I spent money doing other things. I started sailing. So here, then everything's starting to come back. I'm not as excited about doing some of the things, and it's taking a lot more energy for me to pack up and get there. Once I'm there, it's like home, but the getting there is really difficult, and it's something I'm having to relearn, which surprised me. I thought that it would always be, hey, it's SCA weekend, let's go. But I mean, one of the first events, I was like, oh, I have to buy food. Oh, I haven't done that in a while. I have to plan the meals. I forgot that I didn't have this piece of my tent in the trailer. And putting all of that together again, it's going to take some time for me to get there. But something that happened to me that snapped me out of it was getting involved in stuff.
Definitely.
I think it was a blessing in disguise. July of last year, I was asked to become the Kingdom Minister of Arts and Sciences. I have a purpose now. And that's another thing that you have to say about people coming into the SCA. If they have a purpose, they're going to want to come. If they have too many purposes, they might get burnt out. But if they have a purpose and they're passionate about it, chances are they're going to come back. So I became the Kingdom Minister of Arts and Sciences. I am learning it very slowly, and luckily everybody is very patient with me, because I'm like, everybody, tell me who wants to do this. And then I send out another list. Who wants to do it with this presentation? And they're like, didn't you just ask that question? I said, yes, but I forgot to add this part. And so they're having to learn with me while I'm doing this new office. But they're doing it nicely, and I appreciate that. But
you should have a little bit of grace given when you're learning.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's new for me. They're used to me just taking over and knowing what I'm doing. So I got a new officer position at the kingdom level, which is for the first time for me, beyond being queen or being baroness, which is it's more local. That is exciting. It's something new. It's something that I have to work at, something that it gives me an opportunity to talk to a lot of people, which is something I love to do. Um, and yet I'm still able to do things. I just went to an event last weekend. The Fromage Fête started playing music and I started dancing. I will admit that at the time I was attending the Queen and I had to ask somebody to take my place because I that is something I need. And I know that about me. And so somebody said, sure, I'll stand here for you. And I went off and ran dance. We had some new people come in. It is nothing better than to do that. And then afterwards I had two different people reach out to me to say, thank you for taking the time to do that. We had a huge group of college kids that came in a van. There we go. They're talking about the van. Came in a van to this event. It was one of their first events. And they wanted to dance. And it wasn't on the schedule. I just did it. And I had so much fun because somebody asked it of me. So I had fun. So, there has to be a reason why you get pulled back in. For me, if I can dance with people, I'm excited. It gets me talking to people. But now having that responsibility of an officer position also has pulled me back in. And then on top of that, I had two good things happen because May Crown, after everything started opening up, I was elevated to the Order of Pelican. And then at this last 12th night, I became a Laurel. So things that probably, who knows where I was in the lineup before the pandemic, but you get to a point where you're just sort of going, is this ever going to happen? Maybe not. And it did. And I'm excited because now I have yet another mission in life to mentor people within the society.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that because you were a leader before. Mm-hmm. And without being, you were a royal peer, but not being a pelican, not being a laurel, and kind of, hey, I'm doing all this mentoring, but not having that recognition as the peer that you are, kind of how that can also affect retention and people's feelings.
Okay, so I'm going to go back to my beginning because my first event, this guy that I sort of liked was put on vigil. And my second event, he was knighted. I was still in I think this is a medieval dress. I hadn't even put together garb yet. And I was thrown into a peerage ceremony with my now husband. And so it took him a while to take his first squire, but when I was a baroness, he started taking squires. I had been mentoring and creating that special home feeling for his people, building up his family, as I say. That is the gift of being a peer within the societies, that it is an acknowledgement that they can mentor you in either fighting or service or the arts and sciences. It is great that I could build my husband's lineage up, but I wanted more. I wanted to do it for myself. Did that stop me from mentoring somebody? Absolutely not. This poor woman in my barony has actually said to me, you may not take this or this office, because every time I've had to step down because I was queen, or now that I'm a kingdom officer, I have turned it over to her. I said, here, I'll train you. Again, this is the gift of being a peer is it's built into the system. If they're your apprentice or they're your protege, it is so easy to train them and push them into things and expose them to so many things. I did it before I was a peer. Before I was a royal peer, I was already doing it. And I continue to do it, but it is extra special for me to now be building my family, which will add to my husband's family, and just have that recognition that it's people are coming to me for that. So I don't know.
It's well deserved and lucky people.
Yes.
I love that you were mentoring before you were recognized for the peer that you were. And even before you were a royal peer. So To me, everybody should mentor each other because we all have something
Yes.
we can teach.
We actually had a queen move into our kingdom from out of our kingdom into our kingdom. She was a duchess, and she actually posed a question that actually stumped us all for a second. She's like, "Well, as a royal peer, can I take students?" And we were like, and a lot of us were like, "Sure," but there was a question of, well, what would you be teaching them? You're not teaching them service. You're not teaching them arts, but then yet you are. And so we said, sure, you can. But there's a question of how to develop that. If you don't train somebody to become a royal peer. That happens because of a crown tournament. And yet there is so much that somebody who has been on the throne knows about the society and the kingdom that is very valuable. And if I had figured out how to make that a thing, I thought it was an intriguing question that I had never thought of before.
Well, and knowing multiple, having been blessed to have friends that have served and sat on the throne as queen and as king, there are so many things, not just like how to be a king or a queen, like, and that's definitely part of like the peer-like traits, but those peer-like traits, those are lessons, even not being, a pelican, not being a laurel, not being a mod, not being a knight, that I've learned from association with friends who happen to be royal peers, because they teach you how to carry yourself. They teach you how to mind what you say. They teach you to be cognizant of, for everybody, this is that moment that could make their dream. Don't ruin it for them. That you are honored by having the opportunity to be that person for them.
And actually, what you just said is very pertinent. What you say sometimes makes a difference to somebody. It is one of the things, you go to somebody's vigil and there's these words that you say to them, which and mine usually revolves around that. There is a special time when you're a queen that you go to a lot of things, and you might see an arts and sciences display. And I had a couple of those situations where I don't personally remember that moment, but I walked up to somebody, I asked them about their thing, asked them a few questions about, something. I think it had to do with spinning yarn. And I was honored that after my reign, they gifted me a blanket that they had spun the wool, they had hand dyed the wool. These two women had worked together to make a lap quilt for me in my kingdom colors. And I don't remember the moment, but I made a huge difference in their life. And the message that came with it was, we were about ready to step away from the SCA, but you showed interest in what we were doing. And now I am so excited about what I'm doing now. Those moments are so important. And it doesn't matter if you're royalty, or it doesn't matter who you are.
Exactly.
Taking the time to ask questions and show interest in what somebody else is excited about, even if it's not your interest, is very valuable to making somebody feel welcome in the society.
Definitely. So, as a royal peer, as an art peer, as a service peer, how do you use your service, your art of service, and your art of arts and science to help revitalize and retain members within the society?
So I live on the east side of my kingdom, which partners up to your kingdom. And it's, let's just say it's a little out there. We are not the big city. We have less people, and we have less exposure to the big core group of peers that are more on the western side of our kingdom. I'm gonna go back. The first things people say when you become a peer, or a pelican, or a laurel: don't be too quick to take somebody as a student, or as an apprentice or a protege. I truly believe that it is very important to give somebody time. I strongly believe in having them as a student before you make that fealty and create them a protege or an apprentice. But as I said, I was made a pelican last May, and in January I was made a laurel, and I have one person that has already asked to be my student for pelican, and I have two that are going to be that are my students for laurel. And the reason I did that is, first of all, I've known these people for a very long time. I still am making them wait a year and a day to make that commitment, because it is very important that they understand the relationship with me and that they have time to explore. And if somebody else is better for them, I want them to have that opportunity. There is nothing worse than to have a newcomer come to an event, not know what the SCA is about, and create that strong fealty match on their first event. I've seen it. I've seen it almost destroy an entire group of people. I was not impressed. It was, there were people that we hadn't even taught enough about the society for them to have an opinion. And unfortunately for them, it became a negative in their life. And then there's that horrible thing of breaking fealty to get away from this thing that wasn't right for them. Wouldn't it have served them so much better to have figured out to take the time to get to know that person, and for the person who wants to take them as a whatever apprentice or protege or squire, it's really important that they see, well, am I the right person for them? And it's because it's not about me, it's about them. When you're taking somebody under your wing, it should be about them. It's not about who I get to eventually help be elevated. It really isn't. And that is, I think, a healthy way of viewing the peerages. It's not about you. It's about the people you're going to develop and what you can do for them to help them on that path.
Definitely. I love that. Master Aslak has pointed out that, once again, one sentence from a royal can do a lot. Well,
yes.
Back on our previous conversation there. And I agree. Like, I think as a non-peer, having my laurel, like having that mentorship, it's very important. And makes me feel better knowing that they're focused on me, not focused on themselves. And, kind of letting me be like, okay, what can we do to make you shine? What can we do to help you? Where do you want to go? Who do you want to talk to? Who do you want to learn from? What direction do you want to take? And then knowing I've got that support.
Yeah. And the people that I am taking, the reason why I mentioned the east side of my kingdom, there are people, two of them are from my local area. One is from the barony next to us. They are not on that I need to be laureled right now path. But I have already, before I knew that I was going to be elevated, I asked one of them, one of her first events she came to, she had a stitching project she was working on. I said, they don't have very many people putting things down for the local ANS competition. Would you like to put that down? It was a work in progress. She won.
Excellent.
Okay? But you ask her, oops, my computer is running low. Hang on, give me 2 seconds.
Oh no.
I unplugged my computer.
We totally understand.
That is so funny. There, I am sorry.
It's fine. I got a close up on your embroidery, so I was happy.
How embarrassing. Okay. But yeah, she's somebody who has put things down for an arts and sciences thing, but she hasn't ever written it down. She always tries to do it verbally. And I'm like, well, everybody knows that path to laurel, somebody wants to be able to read your documentation. I said, well, you know how to do this. And if you just wrote down how you did it, You can cut and paste that and put it into any project that you do after this. I had already started those kind of talks with her before I even knew that I was going to get there. And she then agreed to be my student. But it's always important. She said, I'll do this, but it's really important that you let me do it on my speed. She says, I have other priorities in my life. And I went, great. There are some people that you want to push really fast. And you want to, it's a rapid, you know that they're ready to become a laurel, but they need help finishing up those little, the things that will get them noticed. There's some people that just want to challenge themselves and need somebody to help guide them. Her student sister, we'll be the Laurel sisters together. They're really good friends. And she actually followed me as Baroness for our group, was very active. She is very active in our canton, and she has done so much. She is somebody that I look up to. She is a pelican. But I approached her and she laughed. She goes, I am sort of dudding, aren't I? It is. She's not coming to council meetings. Sometimes she doesn't come to this. Sometimes she doesn't come to that. Life is getting, sometimes she has an excuse of why it's not good this time. She goes, this might jumpstart me. And I said, that's what I thought. So again, I'm not looking for me to have somebody that I elevate, help elevate to laurel. Sometimes it's somebody who just needs a path. And I'm looking forward to those two bouncing off each other as they go on that path, because one of them is truly excellent already. Before her son got her to come to the SCA, she was already doing Anne Boleyn's outfit for costuming for Halloween. Okay, do you know what I'm saying? Oh. She's one of those people. And the other lady, she can repurpose costume pieces like you've never seen. She can go thrifting and find something and turn it into a period-looking thing. Her 10-foot rule is solid gold. Nice. and yet she does so many other things. She just doesn't like to focus. So maybe I'll just focus her a little bit,
The art ADD is a thing. Truly is a thing. My poor Laurel.
but I'm looking forward to it because by next year, I may or may not have a protege, and I may or may not have 2 apprentices. But I at least have sort of pushed them in the direction of getting them back into the SCA and being excited. Here's that retention thing. They have to have something that makes them excited.
Definitely.
And I love that my friend noticed that, yeah, I'm sort of dudding right now, she said, and then maybe this would help me. Again, just reach out a hand and see if you can help people, and they will come back.
Definitely. Yeah. Like, whether you're the peer or not, reach out that hand, that connection, that hello. How are you doing? Ooh, what are you working on? Or, hey, I love this thing that you do. Could you tell me about it?
I'm going to tell you about this other guy in our barony. He showed up last August to his very first event. His second event, before that event, I reached out and said, hey, is there anything you want? And he goes, before, that was August. And our first event was October. He goes, before this event, I really want garb. I invited him over to my house. Then here's the question. He goes, well, what do I need to bring? And I'm like, well, I obviously have my fabric stash, but he wanted to be empowered to do it himself. So he went to his local, unfortunately, boutique shop to buy the most expensive fabric I've ever seen. And okay, I have bought more expensive, but I was like, you could have started with something less expensive, but he couldn't say no to the lady after he had picked it out. And I'm like, no. The rule is you can always say no. But he came over to my house, and he was, as I say, he's so cute because he goes, the question is, do you want to learn how to make this, or do you want me to make it for you? Because there's those two sides. And he goes, well, I sort of want to learn how to sew, so I would like to make it. And I'm like, okay. So I did half of it and he did half of it, and it took a lot longer to do than he ever thought it would. His first tunic wasn't done after the 2 hours that he had with me. And he goes, "Oh, I thought I'd have 3 tunics and a pair of pants by now." And I'm like, well, but he left it with me, and I did the seam finishes because, it's easier. I let him do the sewing machine stuff. And the next time he came over, we almost got a pair of pants done. He was very excited. He sewed, but I was willing to let him take that time. But the thing I love about him, second event, he showed up for half the event. He had other things scheduled. His third event was our Bardic Championship, which he decided to enter. And I'm like, okay. And he threw himself into the deep end. Why? Because he came to a newcomers event. He learned a few things. The next event after that, he showed up and he put down his new embroidery project that he had just learned how to do. And he has no fear. I love him. We want 20 or 40 more of him, because now we're coming up to Kingdom Arts and Sciences. And I think this will be his 5th event ever since August. He is entering Kingdom Arts and Sciences as a full competition presenter.
Excellent.
I'm like, and I love it. Somebody's like, "Well, you might not win." He goes, "I don't care. I mean, I'm just throwing this stuff down and I'm going to learn." And he's meeting people. What an exciting kind of person to find, to have to come into our group. Again, please, more people come that are just like that.
Well, we as members, if we can create that environment where there is no fear to try all of the things, and that you're supported by trying all the things, then it's so easy to just do it without that sense of fear and just jump in both feet.
Well, how many people have not entered Kingdom Arts and Sciences that are on the laurel path because they don't think they're quite ready yet? And here is a newcomer that has already done it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I might hang my head in shame that it took me 20 years for me to enter it for the very first time.
Yep, definitely, Aslak. Sometimes you jump in with both feet because nobody told you couldn't. And that's the thing. If we don't tell those myths that you can't do certain things, those myths aren't there to hold you back.
Yeah, I have another competitor that's a longtime member that did why am I doing this? And somebody goes, "You don't have to." And I'm like, no, you're doing this because you wanted to challenge yourself. You're ready to tell people about what you love. And there's no downside to doing this. What's the worst that could happen? You get a low score on your rubric. Okay. Move on.
I entered my first Kingdom ANS last year, and I've been playing since 92.
Yes.
So
I did it in 2020, right before the world shut down. And I mean, I'm like, what was I waiting for? I mean,
Master Aslak, he's a Laurel who's never entered Kingdom ANS.
Yeah, many people haven't. Yep. It is not everybody wants to do it, but I will tell you, we have created 2 other events that are helping people break down that barrier. We have an Athenaeum where it's like a science fair. They put up their stuff, they talk to people. There's no judging.
I want to go one year.
Talking. And then Collegium is anybody that has a topic can talk for an hour about their topic. It's not a workshop class. It is a lecture series. And that is where I found the bug. I started doing Collegium and talking about dance, and found out that I was really good at talking about what I like to do. Maybe I'm not really good, but I really enjoyed it. So that was the most important thing. But I mean, every opportunity you have where somebody can just step out and try something and realize that they're not going to be judged harshly for trying it. I think that's an important thing at the local level and at the kingdom level. So
definitely. I agree with you 100%. That, once again, you don't have to have fear if you feel supported. And yes, everybody has kind of taken away those, all the stigma and myth behind it.
We're trying. We are trying so hard to do that. And there's still people that are so scared. And you're like, just relax. And that is my goal with mentoring people is you can do this. No big deal.
Just relax. What's the worst that can happen?
Well, some people have a very big fear of speaking in public. And that is a big thing to overcome. But in order to be able to talk to people, you sort of have to. So, it's important.
I love my husband. He is very soft spoken, and he has aspirations one day, if the day happens to be his to win a crown. And I'm like, I love you. Why am I going to have to be the talking consort?
See, I don't have that problem. My husband talks maybe not as much. He talks very well. He's a very good public speaker, though.
Yes, he is. I've seen videos online and have been blessed to be able to watch those. I go, gosh, he's kind of. You guys are kind of that Laurel power couple crush.
I think he's fabulous, but then again, I love him so.
His repasse work,
oh yes,
chef's kiss. But once you can take away and remove that fear, like for voice heraldry, like I did voice heraldry. My very first event doing voice heraldry, I was scared. But I wanted to jump in with both feet, so I did. And in the middle, my papers got all shuffled and they were out of order. And just off the top of my head, I was like, loading, please hold. Loading, please hold, as I'm shuffling through papers. And it worked out fine. And I was like, I can do this. And I had the support of my auntie Laurel, who was like, you got this. You're not a baby Laurel or a baby Harold. You're a Harold. You could do this. And it just made it easy because they took away the fear.
There are so many things that I do that I completely screw up in front of people. My time as Baroness was a hard time for me because yes, I talk, but I don't always think about what I'm saying before I do things. And there's many of these little things that I have said that my barony will never let me live down. Just slips of the tongue or whatever. And I just embrace them. That is just what I do. So
definitely.
It's important.
Well, and it's as part of retention, it's okay to have mistakes. As human, it's okay to have mistakes or what you consider missteps. But what's better is to embrace them and kind of use that. Like, hey, at this one point in my path, this is what happened, and this is what I've learned from it.
Oh yeah.
This is how I've grown since then. So it's okay. Ooh, somebody's does edible art. Ooh. Rusty, I'm not officially on the Laurel path, but I've won a kingdom level arts and science competition for edible art. Oh, Randall, food. Food is always.
You don't have to always be on the path. And sometimes people that aren't on, quote, the path are still going to be elevated. There is no right or wrong way to get there. I want to go back to one thing that I did mention that I looked at when you gave me my initial questions.
Yes, definitely.
So we're talking about those retention, and we talked about doing that something special that helps other people feel like they belong.
Yes.
One of the things that I like to do and have done throughout the history in the SCA, I have taken the time, especially when you're in a position, I don't want to say of power, but a position that is more visible, taking the time to highlight others that are doing something. And I'm going to pull out two that are ones that, at least where I was at, don't always get looked at. Archery and equestrians. We had a guy that would come to our barony, and he didn't live in our barony, but he was my sergeant. He was actually my yeoman for sergeantry. But he loved our group, and one of the reasons why is that he would sit at the archery range all day. All day, and they didn't give him any shade. They didn't get anything, and little by little, because I made a point of going out there and doing a couple shoots, other people would come too, and it increased the population that were doing that activity. And then magically, a pop-up would show up so that he didn't have to stand in the sun all day. And then magically, now he has a following of people that are looking forward to seeing him at the event. But it's important to go over, if you are somebody that is visible, do it. Invite others to go over with you. They might find interest in that, or the person that's there just might need to have people there to do it with. Equestrian is the same thing. We have a war called On-Tier West War. If you ask the West, it's the West On-Tier War, but that to me is Seattle, so I wouldn't say West On-Tier. I'm from On-Tier. But they do a competition down there called How to Ride Before a Prince. I'm a dancer. I look at movement. Can I ride a horse? Yes. Am I authorized? Yeah, I've done it. I am not at the level of these people that are doing this kind of event, but they asked me to judge this. By watching this event, I'm, again, pulling people over to it. I'm giving them a place in the spotlight, having royalty come over and do this. I could use my dance skills to say, the movement looks good. I see what you're asking me to look for. That didn't look right. I remember notating, something's weird here. And I asked an equestrian person next to me, why does that look weird? Because they had a misstep there. I didn't see the misstep, but I could tell that it wasn't quite right. But they invited me back to do that year after year because I did it when I was a queen. And I thought that was wonderful. It's really, the equestrians wanted to be a little bit more visible. One of them wanted to bring us into court on horseback. Every opportunity he had horses there, he would say, hey, can we do this? And I said, sure. Now, I will say, it's not always the most flattering way to enter court when you're getting off and you got the backside. I made sure I turned the backside away from the people so that it wasn't quite the view that they needed. Take me behind the thrones and I'll walk forward. Okay, thank you. But he wanted to do that. One time he had a cart. Can I bring you in on this cart? Sure.
That's
why?
so cool.
He wanted to do it. And I said, what's the harm in saying sure?
Yeah.
But many people would say, no, it's not necessary. No, I don't want horses here. No, I don't want this. No, I don't like archers doing this. No, they tend to say no when all they just need to say is sure. If the person's going to be doing all the work and just wants that moment in the sun, there is no harm in letting them do it. Yeah, even definitely. If it takes a little bit longer to enter into court.
Well, and there is something to be said about, relinquishing or being courteous and gracious enough to be like, yeah, you know what? Please do this for me. I would be honored to have you do this for me. This is going to make this more magical for somebody. It might not be me. It might be just you, but somebody's going to go, oh, they like horses. This is okay. Maybe I should learn how to ride horses. I've got horses. You can build those connections that maybe weren't there before.
Yes, definitely. So
I love it. Oh,
got ideas, lots of ideas.
Definitely.
So my main thing that I do to get people into the SCA is dance. It is at the core of my being. I grew up in a ballet company. I did a young performers ballet company in my hometown. I did a performing arts high school. It has been part of my life forever. So I came to the SCA and I was looking for something to do. My dear friend, who then became my Pelican sister later, was the dance mistress. And she taught me all the things, which I, of course, picked up very easily because I have a dance background. She turned it over to me and I took off. As Baroness, there was not an event that didn't have dance at it. As Queen, my first round, it was required that every event that I went to had dance.
Oh, and I love that.
Dance mistresses came out of the woodwork and started teaching again and having fun, and every event had dance. I have started, I've been told if you do something 3 times, it becomes a tradition. So this 12th night, I started a tradition that I will make happen. I started the ball with 3 processional dances. And if you know anything about processional dances, they are walking with style.
Mhm.
Anybody can do them. And I was successful in getting a lot of people out there, even if it was just for the first 3 dances with the king and queen. And I honored the royalty of Antir, the peers of Antir, and the baron and baronesses of Antir. They started the lines, and then everybody filled in behind them. And I already have a plan of attack for next year of doing a class before the ball so that I do not teach it. And then people that come up and go, oh, I was supposed to know this one. Maybe eventually we'll get to a point where the ball isn't all about me teaching, which is what it tends to be right now. But I'm starting tradition. I'm making sure that it is completely accessible to anybody. If they can walk, they can do it. Even if they're in a wheelchair, they could do this. And that
I
is really
love
important
that.
to me. I get so much joy. Okay, there's different ways of approaching dance. Some of it is they want perfection out of the people that are in their class. But for me, it is getting everybody to enjoy their time together with me. And I will often do dances that aren't as sophisticated and aren't as challenging because I'd much rather have more people dancing and get them used to me. And it's amazing what I can do. As soon as they understand me and they understand my vocabulary, I throw in dances that are much harder and they just do it because they've already trusted me so far. But, sometimes I will have a whole ball set up and I will completely divert it to another way of doing stuff because of the level of technicality I can do with the people that are there. My band that I work with is so good that they can do that with me. But it is my goal not to teach the most period dance always, but sometimes, but I do actually try to keep it most period. But I also really just want more people to dance.
Well, and it's such a social activity. I mean, it can be done solo, which is beautiful, but dance itself as a social kind of form of communication has a way of engaging people and making them feel part of it. And then that's that draw that makes them feel included, that makes them come back.
Yes. One of the nights that came down to Ursulmus, which is our last weekend's event, he he has found places to do fighters practice on the university in his town. But he was bringing back something from his past, which I thought was brilliant. And this is why he needed me. His knight, I believe, made him dance to warm up before fighting. And I went, oh, I love him already. But he has found a spot on the university to use for fight practice because he's starting it with a dance practice to warm the rapier and heavy fighters up. And the college students are showing up for that dance practice. And then the heavy fighters go outside and the rapier fighters continue working in that room. I think for me, it's a win-win. More people dancing. But he is using tools to get more people in from that university, which again is going to be more people that potentially will be coming to their events in that area.
I love that. Oh, I love that. Oh, and Rusty pointed out too about when at archery at crown events that they always invite the royals to the range and ask the heralds to announce the hours the range is open. He, as a past royal archer, and having served as retinue before, I have never seen so much joy on royals' face going out to the archery range. Like it,
Oh, yeah.
It seems to be kind of an opportunity to kind of breathe a little bit and have fun because they get to do that. They get to have fun. So
I had a little bit of fun with the thrown weapons. That was sort of fun. I was good at archery, but when my kingdom protector, he likes to do some thrown weapon stuff. So he's like, here, try this. And I threw knives, and we went to a meeting where my husband was running some curia meeting, and it was going on forever. And I dismissed myself from the meeting, went over to the target, threw about 4 or 5 knives, and then came back, and they all went, we better start getting on with this meeting because the queen is, and I'm like, I don't know. I just needed a break, everybody. But, so many things that you can get exposed to by just walking over to another area and asking what they're doing. Archers are so welcoming. They will help you out. The thrown weapons people are amazing, and the equestrian people are amazing.
Definitely.
So
I love it. Oh, Catherine points out dancing is historically accurate for training fighters in the Middle Ages.
I've actually run a ball where a rapier fighter goes, "That's the same step I was taught in rapier." I'm like, "Oh, really?
Wonder why.
It's all of these little light bulbs that come on, and I'm like, of course, all of these things were done, unfortunately, for men who were fighting. These were their manuals that they were given. So yeah, they did all dance. They had to. That was required.
Definitely. Gosh, I have enjoyed our conversation. I still have a bunch more questions. So if you'd be open, maybe we can do another episode and dive into possibly down the road.
I'm always open for anything. I really love talking to you. I really enjoyed it. I do think I'm a good example of a chatelaine in my kingdom. I do enjoy welcoming people to the society, and I do enjoy finding their place within our groups to make them feel like they belong and that they're needed. So.
Definitely. I think you're a stunning, stellar example of chatelaine in the SCA as a whole.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and do some quick pluggables, and then we're going to do our shout outs if that works. Coming up next on our lovely channel here on February 16th, we have 3 former fat guys with the guest, Sir Connell. You might want to tune in for that. Usually hilarity ensues. It's quite enjoyable. And then we have coming up on February 19th with Coffee with Cal, Learning from LARPs with King Yon and Sir Logan. That will also be an amazing opportunity because LARPs are our sister or our cousin group or brother group, and they have so many techniques about retention and recruitment that we can always learn from. And of course, we have one new little plug that I want to plug besides our TikToks, which I'll get to in a second. We have a new merchant friend. And this is a merchant friend that sells amazing goods that we wanted to let you guys all know about. And you can check out their wares at etsy.com/shop/Rawson Rags. Amazing. If, of course, you want to support Kal-bardr's Corner, you can do so by joining our Patreon at / come on, Cal, pop it up. Patreon.com/KK Productions. And then, of course, if you want to check out what Cal's doing, you could check him out at TikTok at Kal-bardr or at Kal-bardr, excuse me. Or you could check out what I'm doing at Gina Kits. So, shout out your grace if you would like to do so.
I guess today I would like a shout out to the Barony of Wastekeep. They've been at the heart of me for my entire life in the SCA. And I do pretty much everything to make sure that they are happy. So shout out to them. Thanks.
Excellent. My shout out this week is to the costumers of color. They hosted a Silk Roads 2023 symposium today and had amazing classes on various topics from appropriation to the history of fabrics to the history of coffee, because who doesn't love a good coffee? Thank you so much for putting that on. It definitely was extremely enlightening and very valued. So those are my shout outs. I want to thank once again your grace for joining me. And of course, our amazing audience. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful night.
Bye-bye.